Good morning. Welcome to Subtle Secrets of Pranayama, my 30-day challenge. And today's day 20. So we've been going through many different aspects of pranayama, primarily the interoceptive practices and this idea that the subtler practices are what really brings much more power into your pranayama, makes it much more optimized, and also reduces the risk of hurting yourself or somehow, negatively impacting the nervous system with pranayama, which certainly happens. And there's plenty of stories about that. Maybe I'll get into that in another video. Today, this morning, what I want to talk about are the pauses between the inhale and the exhale. And the yogis called these kumbhaka. Kumbhaka means something like, it means something like pause. In English, one of my teachers, Gary Krafso, talks about how the top of the inhale, he calls that a retention, and the bottom of the exhale a suspension, which I think that's kind of useful to differentiate. And there are different Sanskrit terms for the top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale. And then physiologically, they have a different effect as well. I think one of the things that happens is people hear these kind of ratios, like Andrew Weil is the one that always kind of gets on my nerves a little bit, because it's like 4-7-8 or something. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's sort of his golden ratio. Like everybody should be practicing this: 4 counts in, 7 counts pause, 8 counts out, or something, which is just complete nonsense, because the ratio needs to be appropriate to your nervous system to create the effect that you're looking for. So it's not like there's just one ratio. The other one, I work with a lot of mental health professionals, and a lot of times you'll hear square breathing. And square breathing is nice in terms of like, it gives you something for your mind to focus on, and it gives you sort of a rhythm to the breath. So square breathing is like 4 in, 4 pause, 4 out, 4 pause. Some people seem to like that. It doesn't seem to be too detrimental to the nervous system for the most part, but we do want to really understand that your body and your breath is your biography. It's the whole history of everything that's happened to you is going on in your breathing patterns and in the way that your body's functioning. So like to think that everybody needs the same ratio, or everybody needs the same pranayama, or this pranayama will have this effect for everyone, is really misguided. And I think that's one of the reasons pranayama gets a bad rap, because people think, oh, I tried that breathing exercise, it just gave me a panic attack, or it made me anxious, or I couldn't sleep at night. And that's because the practices aren't being adapted to your particular systems. So today I want to talk about the pause at the end of the exhale, but actually we're gonna do that as practice. But first I want to talk about how to do kumbhaka. So the secret to pause is that it feels like you keep taking breath in at the top of the inhale, although you don't. And the pause out is it feels like you keep letting breath out, although you don't. And this differentiates it from holding your breath, right? So it's not like you're going inhale 2, 3, 4, hold, exhale 2, 3, 4, hold. So there should be no gripping or pressure or pushing or cutting off anything in the face or the throat, none of that in the retention. Rather, the inhale should feel sort of like inhale 2, 3, 4, I keep going, but no breath is coming in. And then exhale 2, 3, 4, and I keep going, but no breath is going out. So doing this prevents the physiologic responses that are going to be elicited when you do all the mechanical stuff to hold your breath. Because what is holding your breath? It's like a fear response, or a surprise response, or a survival response. And we don't want to kick in the survival response with breath pauses, or with any part of the pranayama practice, I think, in my opinion. Okay, so for most people, the exhale, unless you got something going on like asthma or, some kind of a breathing challenge, so COPD, for most people, the exhale is a little easier. For most people, I'd say like 80%, right? So when you're doing your pause at the end of the exhale, so let's say you do I think yesterday we were doing 4 in, 6 out. So let's say you do 4 in, 6 out, and then pause for maybe 2. Think about the kumbakas as condiments. The meal, you know, the veggie burger is the breath. And then the little bit of inhale, the little bit of pause at the end of the inhale, the little bit of pause at the end of the exhale, that's the mustard, you know. So you have or Vegenaise, whatever you use. So that little pause at the end of the breath is not the main part of the practice, right? It's a pause. And to think about it that way, it sort of accentuates the effects. So for today, we're going to do inhale 4, exhale 6, or if you're doing 3 and 5, that's fine. You can do it while I'm talking. So inhale, let's say 3, exhale 5, and then pause for 2. And the pause should feel like let go. And then start it again. Inhale 3, no pause, exhale 5, pause for 2. So for most people, this is, keep doing it while I'm talking. For most people, this is pretty accessible, and it won't necessarily push your nervous system. And it's from that foundation that then you can explore lengthening ratios, but you've got to get the foundation down. So a little bit of inhale, no pause, exhale, and then pause. Tomorrow we'll talk about pausing at the top of the inhale, okay, and how that affects you. So exhale tends to be what? Releasing. It tends to put what I would call put the foot on the vagal brake. So it kind of breaks into the nervous system. It causes the nervous system to go deeper into parasympathetic activation, right? Puts the foot on the vagal brake. When we inhale, we're going to take our foot off the vagal brake. That doesn't mean that you put your foot on the accelerator. I hope not. That's not what you want to do. You want to take your foot off the brake on the inhale. We'll talk about that tomorrow, okay? So for today, the practice is do for 5 minutes or so. Inhale 3 or 4, exhale 5 or 6, pause for 2. Notice how it feels. Write your comments and questions in the comments on Facebook, okay? And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Namaste.